Welcome to Undercurrents of Romance, the show that celebrates every subgenre of romantic fiction. In each episode, I peel back the layers of your favorite love stories and chat with the talented authors who bring them to life. I'm your host, Tracey Devlyn. Now, let's dive in with today's guest. Hello, Romantics. I'm here with author Katie Mettner to talk about her new romantic suspense, Dark Web Investigation. Welcome to the show, Katie.
Thanks for having me.
You betcha. Can you hold up that beautiful book
Sure.
for us? Yeah. Great. Yeah, I love the colors, the green and yeah, that really it feels very bits and bytes to me.
Yes, it's very cyber
Yeah,
security oriented. When I got the cover, I was like, well, that they really nailed it. And
they
on top of
nailed
it,
it.
like the climax happens in like a warehouse style. So, they really, it was a great cover, I
They
thought.
got it. They nailed
Yeah.
it. That's wonderful. It's always great when that happens.
Yep.
Well, we've been pals on Facebook for quite a while, but this is the first time we've met, which I'm really excited about. And I appreciate you coming on the show and talking about dark web.
Yeah, no, I was thrilled that you asked. And, like you said, we've been friends forever on friends on Facebook. So it's nice to actually speak with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was glad to see before we hit the record button, you have your cute little writing companion
I
there.
do. I have
Yeah,
my
she's
little
she
wiener.
napping. There she
There
is.
she is. Yeah. She always has to be part of everything.
Yeah, yeah. What a cutie. I love seeing her pop up on your Facebook feed. Yeah, she's great.
She loves to ham it up all the time. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, she's always just been a little baby since the day we got her. So, Katie
Yeah,
over there.
I love that. All right. Well, besides being a dog lover, what else can you tell us about yourself and your writing journey?
Oh boy. Well, let's see. Besides being a dog lover, I obviously am a Badger, Wisconsin Badger fan for life. Um, Not so much the sports as just the state and the feel of Wisconsin and Minnesota, of course, because I read about Minnesota. I love to crochet when I'm not writing. We love going to Lake Superior. That's one of our big voyages, which is actually not even a big voyage because we don't live that far from there, but it's kind of our getaway time. And so we love going there looking for agates and just, walking along the shore. Um, I love to bake. I have three kids, Emmett, Edward, and Eli, my three E's, and they're all adults
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
which is hard to kind of remember that I can't call them kids
Yeah.
anymore.
It's still hard to break that
Yeah,
habit for
it's
sure.
so
Or your
they
boys,
live all
my
over the
boys.
state. Yeah,
Yeah.
they live all over the state. My youngest Eli is home with us this summer for before he goes back to grad school at Madison. So it's been nice having him home for,
Oh,
spend some time with him. He's been
yeah.
gone for 4 years. So yeah, so if I'm not busy with the writing or the kids, or the dog or the extended family, I'm reading,
Yeah. No,
you
that's
know.
great. And then tell us about your writing journey. How did you come to be where you are today?
Well, I started writing in 2011 after my amputation, my left leg amputation, because I had all this time on my hand. I was like, well, what am I going to do? It was Wisconsin in February. You're not going out on crutches to do much. And so I just sat down and started writing this book that I'd been thinking about for years. And 400 pages later, yikes. I decided, okay, I'm gonna get copies for my family without understanding that if I hit publish on KDP, that it was also going to Amazon where everybody could buy it.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like if I hit publish, then I'd be able to get the paperbacks and the Kindle copy that I wanted. Like,
Yeah.
and that was my journey, just kind of plowed right into it and then just kept going. After 400 pages of Sugar's Dance, people started emailing me and they wanted more. And I'm thinking, how much more do you need? It was 400 pages. It was 120,000 words. What do I have left to say? Well, that series ended up being a four-book series with, a spin-off series. And so it just kind of spiraled as far as that went. And I wrote indie for years and years and years. And then I got picked up by Harlequin, Intrigue, I want to say about 3 years ago now, through one of their Romance Includes You Twitter pitches back when it was Twitter. And so that was Going Rogue in Red Rye County, the first book in the Secure One series. And then from there, of course, here we are. We've got 6 books in that series. We got 7 books in this Secure Watch series. So it's been great working with them. They've been wonderful as far as writing, inclusive and disabled romantic
Yeah.
suspense. So, in fact, my cover for the second book in this series actually features a heroine in a wheelchair.
Oh, that's
So
great.
it's
That's
great.
great.
So
Yeah, I'm
this
happy to.
cover, Kenley is an amputee, but we couldn't get it on the
Yeah,
cover. It just didn't work. But yeah, so we try to make our covers inclusive so that readers who do have disabilities and want to see themselves represented,
right.
get the covers that also represent that.
No, that's wonderful. I'm glad that they're embracing that. For some publishers it wasn't always so. So
Oh, it's
yeah, yeah.
been for many publishers for very long. That has always been
Yeah.
so. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, great. Well, while we're talking about your book there, The Dark Web Investigations, can you just give us a quick overview of the story? And I think you even have some cameos from your other series that pop in there too. But
I do,
yeah,
yeah,
just
because
yeah.
this is Secure Watch. So Secure One was like the personal security side of the business. And Minna, who is the main character in Going Rogue in Red Rye County, the first book, was kind of a hacker cybersecurity person for the FBI. And so as the series of Secure One progressed, they realized, wait a minute, we're getting all these requests for people to help us to help with their systems. So they built this Secure Watch, they call it. And so Kenley and Jude are relying on Secure One and Secure Watch, to help them get through this because they're kind of on the run, and don't always have access to everything they need as far as to be able to search things and find things that they need. So they're
Right.
relying on them at Secure One. So yeah, there's some cameos in there from the prior series, but not that you need to know who they are in order to
No.
understand the
Mm-mm.
book. But readers who read Secure One will love that
Yeah.
because,
The nice
and
little
then it's
gems.
those little,
Yeah.
and then as we go forward, like the whole group comes together and they change the name to Secure Inc. so that, they can kind of try to work as a team. And as the series of Secure Watch progresses, they're working more as a team with the personal security and the cybersecurity, together. But in dark web, they're on the run, so obviously they are Jude's the security for this, and Kenley is not a cybersecurity agent for Secure Watch. Jude is.
Yeah.
But Kenley runs into she's I like to call her a gray hat hacker. She's not always white, but she's not always black, and so
Right.
she tends to be gray. But when she is on the dark web, she is not doing it to be malicious. She's looking for things to help people. And she runs into something that she realizes is pretty much a national security issue. And what does she do? So she calls her friend Delilah, who is from book 6 of Secure One, only to find out that Delilah's on her honeymoon and Jude has Delilah's phone. And so that's how they, meet and
That's
decide,
yeah.
she needs help. He's willing to help. Here we go. And then as they're moving through, they're actually trying to get back to Secure One, the actual place of where they live and work, when they realize they're being tracked. And every move they make, the person is already one step ahead of them, and they can't figure out how until they realize that he's using AI. Whoever this is using AI
Huh.
to track them and figure out where they're going to be just by where they are at the time. I'm trying not to give much away because it's so hard with these books. The books move
Yeah.
fast, and
Right.
there's so much like condensed in these books because they're only 60,000 words. Um,
No, I
but
think
so their
that's
journey is to, yeah, you got the romance and you've got the mystery and you've got all this in such a short type category book that it's hard not to give anything away.
yeah. Right,
But
right,
obviously we can talk about the romance because we all know there's romance,
right.
right?
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, so as they're kind of forced proximity together and revealing truths to each other because there's no other option. They've got to just be straight up honest with each other. Um, they're slowly falling in love, and it's kind of fun how Jude comes to realize that as he's talking to Minna on the phone. And Minna's kind of giving him a hard time about it and kind of, poking at him a little bit about it. And that's kind of when it kind of settles and like, wait a minute, I guess she may be right, and so that was a fun scene to write, is because
Yeah.
I always love to be able to write Minna, because she's always kind of one of those she's always right characters. Even though you don't want her to be right, she's right.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, but yeah, so it's just their journey to try to figure out, she runs into and I'm not giving anything away by saying this, but she runs into this, what's called the spider web. And it's like it's built to look like a video game, to click on spiders. And as she clicks on the spiders, she's bringing cameras to life, cameras from out in the public,
Yeah.
street cameras, other people's cameras, warehouse
Hmm.
cameras, things that someone should not have access to. And that's when she realizes we're in trouble. Because if
Yeah.
somebody can get access to all these cameras by convincing people to play this game, what are they going to do with the data from those cameras? And
Right.
so it was kind of this race to figure out who it was, why he was doing it, and how were you going to stop it?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because he was basically a ghost. He was hiding on the dark web, and that's made to make you. That's why you're on the dark web, because you want to be a
Right.
ghost. You don't want anybody to find you.
Right.
So, yeah, it was a it was a tangled web for sure.
Well, the imagination, your imagination, and having created this spider web and the little spiders, like you said, they open up these cameras and things like that was just amazing. And just with the premise of this book, having written about a cybersecurity expert in one of my own books, who was also a white hat hacker,
I love her.
I
Yep.
yeah, I know how much research goes into building a story like this, and I was really curious as I was reading it. Did you actually go on the dark web for research, or did you not go that far?
Oh no. Mm-mm. I
Yeah,
was not playing that game. That was
yeah,
not a risk I was willing to take.
yeah.
No,
No,
I spoke with some experts and, kind of worked my way through it that way, because I was not willing to do that and risk,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you. I was just curious
Yeah.
because some writers will go,
Yeah,
that
I tossed it
extra, and
around, but then I
I
was like, I've already been hacked like 4 times on Facebook, and they've gotten every credit card, and I've had to I don't have the energy. So,
right, right,
so
right.
I use the experts who have already done that research for me.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, Dark Web, it features an interabled couple, Kinley and Jude. Some folks might not yet be familiar with that term. Can you explain to us what that means and how it added this really nice richness and another layer to the story?
Sure. Well, an interabled couple is simply there's a disabled, one half of the couple is disabled, one half is abled. Um, and in this case, Kenley is an amputee from a ATV accident when she was a kid. Um, and so she's been an amputee for many, many years, obviously. And so for her, she's, lived and worked and dealt with it for so many years that she tends to ignore things that maybe she
Mhm.
shouldn't when it comes to her limb. And Jude, being not disabled, but also obviously working for Secure One and Secure Watch, who is built on
Yeah.
wounded warriors, he's kind of very in tune to the fact that, he may need to pick up a little bit of slack here and there for her,
Hmm.
if it comes, like, because in this book he realizes that he's pushing her too hard as they're trying to like run through the forest, and she's hurt her limb, and he's now trying to backtrack and figure out how to
Yeah.
keep her safe when they really are still in danger, and so and that's, I mean, not to this degree, but very common with interabled couples, where the abled person in the relationship is often always thinking ahead, as far as, can my partner do that? What do I need to
Hmm.
do to make sure that, I have the accessibility figured out? And obviously, the disabled person helps with that. But but it's working as a team in a little bit different way, and taking a few more things into consideration than, like if two able people just decide to go hiking. There's a lot of
Yes.
things you
Yeah.
don't take into account that, we have to take into account. Like, why would you
Hmm.
want to go hiking, first of all? Just for example.
Right,
Um,
right.
but so that's what it, so all my books always feature a main character with a disability. Some actually have two main characters with disabilities. It just depends on what I'm writing. But usually for Secure One, it's one, because they're in a romantic suspense setting where they may need to do things where somebody needs to be, have both limb, whatever, maybe.
Right.
Um, so yeah, so I try to always be very open and honest and accurate about the disability that's in the book, with the readers, but do it in a way that is just kind of seamless so they don't feel like
Yeah.
they're being schooled, I
Right.
guess.
Right.
But also
Hmm.
maybe they just learn a tidbit or something where that they can apply that in their life at some point, down the road.
Right. Bringing more
That's
awareness. Yeah,
right. Just that
absolutely. Yeah.
awareness, or just, maybe they'll meet somebody and realize, oh, I remember what I'm supposed to do, and so that's always just been my goal, in
Yeah.
writing disabled romance and romantic suspense.
Yeah, no, it's great. And then going back to that research question a little bit with the disability side of it, what resources do you rely on to get your character's disability realistic? Is it that you have a wide range of individuals that you can tap into and talk to? Because obviously there are different disabilities that your characters all have.
Right.
So
If they're an amputee, obviously I'm pretty well versed in that.
yeah,
I don't have if it can happen, it's probably happened to me. But I also have all my specialists that I work with directly, and I might go in and say, "Hey, Mike, you know what? If you're at a below elbow amputee, what system do you?" And he's always like, "Oh, she's
yeah.
writing another book." So, so
Okay,
he
that's
is
great.
very, very, they're always very willing to help me.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, a lot of times, if I'm writing a story that has a disability that I'm not familiar with, or that, I don't know somebody with, I have a reader that I can go to, that will go through it almost as a sensitivity read.
Yeah.
Or I can just send them a quick message, hey, is this possible? Or what would you do in this situation? And readers, you know what, they love it. They love to be part of that process and
Hmm.
to, be able to get to see themselves represented, but also to see their disability represented in a mainstream romance
Yeah.
novel like that. I mean,
Yeah.
that to
Right.
them is fabulous.
Yeah.
So I don't really struggle as far as research goes. There's so much out there. There's some that I'm not willing to tackle, unless I do have all of those people lined up that I can ask questions to. I kind of liken it to people who write police procedurals, or where they have all their police experts that they go to with questions. And is this
Hmm.
possible? Could you do this? It's kind of the same thing, because I never want to represent something in a way that is inaccurate,
Right. No, that's
because I
great.
just feel like that's, first of all, it's not helping anyone. It's not helping the
Hmm.
disabled community. It continues to promote stereotypes that we don't, obviously is what we're trying to change.
Right.
Um, and so that's always been my goal. And I don't always get it right. I mean, I don't. Um, fiction is what it is, but I do
Hmm.
try as hard as I can to get most of it right.
Yeah.
And so that's my disclaimer to anyone who's reading my books. I do try, but sometimes,
Yes, we try our
um,
little hearts
we
out, don't
try our
we?
little hearts
Yeah.
out, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you also want it to feel natural and not forced. And that's
Absolutely.
always my goal, is just to make it feel natural. And because being disabled is just living. We're just living our lives, whether we're an amputee or we have multiple sclerosis
Yeah.
or whatever it may be. To us, that's just our life.
Hmm.
And it's not inspirational, and it's not, it's just who we are. I
Hmm.
mean, and so it should be represented the same way in
Yeah.
books,
Yeah.
and literature
Yeah.
and films and everything. So that's just always been my go-to.
Great. Absolutely agree. Great. Well, one of the things I like to dive into on this show is finding the story's undercurrent with the author. It's that second beating heart of the story that tends to flow beneath the lover's journey. What undercurrent is flowing beneath Kenley and Jude's story, do you think?
I think I would have to say a few things. One would be, giving a voice to the voiceless. Especially in Kenley's case, because that's why
Hmm.
she's on the dark web, is trying to get, I guess, in a way, trying to get justice
Yeah.
for people and also for Jude. But also for both of them, every person they help, they feel like it's a little bit of vindication for their own sins. They've both fought wars. Jude, obviously, a war not of his making.
Hmm.
Um, but as he talks about in the books, in the book, he did things that from behind a computer. And she says, well, we all fight wars in different ways. And
Hmm.
maybe you weren't out, you know, uh, on the ground,
Right.
but it still changes you if you have to make those decisions whether you're pushing a key or you're pulling a trigger.
Hmm.
Um, and for her, because she does go on the dark web and kind of muddles around in people's business, um, she feels like for every act of maybe dishonesty that she does in order to try to help people, she needs to do an act of good. So she works with like Homeland Security and people to stop trafficking and drug busts
Hmm.
and things like that. And that's kind of her way to even the scale, I guess, of justice.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the undercurrent is that they're both kind of looking for a forgiveness of a sin that they perceived or whatever it may be,
Hmm.
um, that they actually end up finding in each other.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like
So,
that. I like that a lot. All right. Well, we'll shift gears just a little bit here. Romance readers, they love tropes. And I always ask authors if they can think of maybe a couple of tropes that readers could look forward to when reading this story.
well, the big one, of course, would be forced proximity because they're together 24/7 as they're,
Yeah.
kind of racing around the Midwest. Another one would be age gap. Kenley is younger than Jude. Let me see, what else would it be? He falls first. That's kind of a new trope that's out
Yeah.
there. And of course, the suspense aspect and the cybersecurity aspect of it. So,
Right. Right. Great. All right. Perfect. And then have you read a romance book recently that you really, really loved and would recommend? I know sometimes that's hard to come up with off the top of your head. So if you
well,
can't think of
and
anything, no
ironically,
problem.
yeah, I don't read a lot of romance because I read so much romantic suspense,
Okay.
which I
Well,
kind of feel
romance,
still,
romantic suspense, just
yeah,
anything in the romance
yeah.
area.
Well,
Yeah.
so right now I'm working my way through the Steel Ridge.
Oh,
I can't call it a series. I guess I have to call it the Steel Ridge World.
yeah.
I've finished the Steels and the Kingstons, and I've moved on to the Blackwells. And I'm almost done with Flashpoint.
Oh
I've
my
like trying
goodness.
frantically turned pages last night. I was like, you gotta go to sleep. You gotta do the podcast in the morning.
Oh,
So I absolutely adore this series, and I think what
thank
keeps
you.
it fresh is that there are the three of you writing it, so it
Hmm.
never feels like the same. You all have, I love it because you all have a different voice as you write, and so
Hmm.
each book feels fresh, even though it's still the same three of you writing them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, but yet it's still seamless. Like it could be written by the same person. It's fantastic. I recommend the series to everyone. The other one, like if I'm talking about just romance, would be I think it's called Chasing Sparks, the Sparkwood series by
Okay.
ML Broome. And it's her new series, and I will read anything she writes, and she only writes, like angsty romance. But her romances are also very kind of they're angsty, but there's a point for them.
Hmm.
Like they're not just angsty for no reason, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I love her books as far as if you're talking about just romance with no suspense
Yeah.
in them.
Yeah. No, that's great.
So
What was her last name again?
it's Broome, Broome.
Okay. Great.
Yep.
Thank you.
So it's been I love that series. I'm waiting impatiently for the next one in October. I'm like, October, girl, come on.
Yeah,
And of course, Lisa Reagan. I just finished The Couple Secret,
yeah,
which is
she's
a new
great.
one. And that's not really romance, except I feel like between her and Noah, there's
Yeah.
kind of some buddy,
Yeah.
there's always a little bit more to their romance there.
Right.
So that's what I read in June was mostly all of those books. So
Okay. Great, great. All right, thank you. I'll add those to the show notes. Thank you so much.
mhm.
So writing requires long hours at the keyboard, as you know, especially when you're writing several books a year, like I believe you are. How do you keep yourself healthy? Are there some things that you do during the day that keeps the carpal tunnel away, keeps the back aches away, all that sort of thing?
Well, as you can see, I was right from a recliner, whether I'm in my office, I have my office
Yeah,
recliner and my living room recliner, I guess I call it. So that's the only way I can ride, of course, because as an amputee, I'm often having to, adjust my seating situation. But I also, as far as like the carpal tunnel goes, I use dictation. Um, and actually, a lot of people are like, "Oh, what program do you use?" And I'm like, "I use Microsoft Word." I don't reinvent the wheel. I don't have any
yeah,
fancy programs. Actually, I switched to the 365 or whatever it is,
yeah,
and they have an excellent microphone, and it's seamless, and I
great.
very rarely have issues with it, as far as like getting things right. So I do a lot of dictating, and so you can get a book out fast with dictation, but then of course your time to edit is longer,
Yes, right,
because you have to go
right.
back in. And, but that's if I really want to tell a story fast, or maybe I don't have a lot of writing time, I will always dictate because then at least the words are there and I can go
Mm-hmm.
back and fix the words later. But at least they're on the page and I don't forget, if I'm thinking of something of a scene that I really want to get
Right.
down. So I do that, and it's just, I move around a lot during the day because I have the little wiener. So I'm up and down and, with her. So, I guess I've done it for so many years. I just kind of have a system in place of what I do and how I do it.
Yeah. Your body tells you when it needs a change of
Yeah.
scenery
And
or
so does my
whatever. Yeah.
watch. You
Yeah.
should stand up now.
Yes,
Yes,
I
I'm in
have
the
one
middle
of
of the
those
scene.
too.
Yeah.
I have one of those
Be
too.
quiet.
All righty.
So.
Well, before we go, can you give us a hint of what's coming up next? I think this series has a couple more books that's going to be
Yep,
released.
this one is a 7 book series. I just finished book 6. So there's only one left, and the last
Wow.
one that I would be writing is actually like a locked room mystery.
Okay.
They go to the two teams kind of converge on this island to kind of play like a clue type mystery game over Halloween, and things don't go as planned. But next up in this series is called Tracing Her Stolen Identity, and it would be a second chance romance. Her and her best friend from high school, who they've kind of fallen away after her accident when she was paralyzed. Um, and they reconnect as discovers she's in trouble and somebody's, taken her identity. And I can't give too much away again.
Yes, right, right,
It's
right.
hard.
And that'll
And
be
then
out in
it,
September-ish?
That's
Was
the
that
end of September. Yep, that
September?
one's the end of
Okay.
September. And then
Okay.
we have the third book in the series, which is actually, and all of these books can be read as standalones. Like you can read
Yes.
book 1 and never read another one. You're not missing anything, like with the
Right.
Secure One series. And I did that on purpose because book 3 in the series is called Deadly Security Breach, and that's the first sapphic intrigue romance.
Mm,
It's the first one that Intrigue has published, and I'm so looking forward to it. The cover is
yeah.
gorgeous. Um, and so that's Iris from Secure Watch, and she goes to help Dr. Rebecca Roth at a biology type research lab. And
Okay.
they are kind of in a race against time before a virus gets released into the world that should not be released into the world. And so and so that one I'm really looking forward to. I know there's a lot of readers who don't read a sapphic romance, but it is the mystery in it alone, the romantic suspense element in it alone, I think will kind of draw people in to want to read it because
Yeah.
it's kind of real life. I mean, it's after COVID, we don't want some of these viruses to escape into the world, and
Mhm.
that's what this is. And it's those types of things where you don't realize how many people, cybersecurity people, are in the background keeping us safe every single day of our lives, and we just walking around completely oblivious to the fact that all these people are actually keeping us, from a lot of these dangerous situations that are out there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and then like I said, and I don't know when the other ones will release, though there'll be four more in 2026. Um,
Wow.
so just
Yeah,
keep
you're way
keep your
ahead
eye
of
out.
schedule. Yeah, that's great.
That's
That's you don't
that's how
have to
they
worry
work,
about deadlines. That's great.
Yep.
All
I like to
right.
get my books done and turn them in long before the deadlines because I don't, like things happen, like with my
Yeah,
father-in-law, and then all
right.
of a sudden you're 2 months later and you finally get back to what you were doing and you realize you're only a month away from your deadline. So
Yeah, scary stuff. Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Alrighty. Well, folks, when this episode airs, Dark Web will be out, so be sure to order your copy today. You can check out Katie's website at katiemettner.com, where you'll find her backlist and an invaluable resource section on disabilities. So thank you for that, Katie. I went through that, and it's a really nice section of information there. So, Katie, what social media platform are you most active on, would you say?
definitely Facebook. I have a
Okay.
Facebook page, Facebook, a group on Facebook. So that's, where you're going to find me the most
Okay. And
frequently.
that's Katie Mettner, author, if I have that. Is that your
Yep.
handle?
Yep.
Okay,
Katie
great.
Mettner, author. Yep.
All righty. And I noticed that you've got some fun things planned, not as much as you wanted to because of, some health issues in your family, but you've got some fun things planned for the release of this. So everybody go check that out.
Yep. Come
All
check it
right.
out. We'll be there on the first. And actually, for that whole week, I'm going to be putting up, book giveaways and things, each day so that I know it's the 4th of July week. So I'm trying to keep, as people come and go, to grab a chance to win a signed copy.
Great, great. Well, thank you so much, Katie, for joining me. It was great to finally meet you, even if
Yeah,
it
it's
is
great to chat.
virtually. This is wonderful, and I appreciate the opportunity to get an early copy of Dark Web. It was really good, and I know the series is going to do really well. And I didn't read the first book, so no, this wait,
This
sorry.
is the first book.
This is the first book. Yes, I didn't read
Yeah,
the first series. Yeah.
series.
So yeah, thank you. So yeah, just folks go out there, grab your copy, and yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
readers
I'm
are already finding it at their Walmarts, so it's out there. You can head to your book section at Walmart, and when you see that, that's the one.
All right, great. Well, many thanks to everyone listening. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Undercurrents of Romance. You can find more information about the show at tracydevlyn.com/podcast. Undercurrents of Romance is a proud member of the Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. I'll be back soon with another great romantic read. In the meantime, enjoy the adventure, everyone.